Okay, what we're going to take a look at now is dealing with this, and our options are, as I mentioned before, either we turn off the ability to go straight to this tab and not use the view child. That would be cheating. We could use the optional chaining so that we remove these messages, but then we're going to have a bad experience as we load the user's profile because everything's going to pop in. So we're going to look at the clean option, and in this we're going to take a look at root resolvers. And root resolvers allow us to get access to the data before the component is constructed. And that means that we're going to have everything we need when the component is constructed, and we're not going to see this error. We still need to remove the conditional, by the way, for the tab set. That has to be, and we have to use the static version of viewChild, and we're going to get our data for the member in a different way so that we remove all of this. So let's go back to VS Code, and what we're going to do inside here is we're going to go into our client, into the source, into the app, and at the top here we're going to add another folder, and we're going to say underscore resolvers. And what we'll do is we'll go to our third tab in this case, and we'll cd upper level, and we'll cd into the resolvers folder, and let's just clear this, and let's just get ng-h and see if they've given us anything for this. And that's a no. We don't have a resolver option inside here, so we're going to have to do something manually. So inside the resolvers, what we'll do is we'll create a new file, and we'll call it member-detailed.resolver.ts. And do double check that, because Angular do update the templates in each version of Angular, and you may be able to get the template for this, but we're just going to create this manually in this case. And what we're going to do is we're going to say export class, and we're going to call it member-detailed-resolver. And this is going to implement the resolve interface from Angular. And then what we do is we give it a type, and we want to get our member from this, so we'll use the member type. And then we'll open some curly brackets. But we've got issues. We need to implement the interface for the resolve, and this brings in the required method that we need in here called resolve, and make sure we've got all of the imports we need at the top. And the observable should have come in when we implemented the interface. Now, because this is not a component, then we do need to add the injectable operator onto this. So we'll say injectable. And what we need to do is give this the provided in root. Resolvers are instantiated in the same way as services, really. And what we're going to do is, inside this class, is we're going to give it a constructor. And inside here, we need to bring in our member service because we want to get our member. And we'll say member service. And we can just open up some empty curly brackets. Now, earlier on, I mentioned a reason why we couldn't use the navigation extras just to make life easier for ourselves. If we go back to our member service, we did a bit of work to go and get the individual member out of our cache. And I mentioned that another option for this would have been to use navigation extras, but surprisingly, inside and this is a root resolver. So when we activate a root, surprisingly, there's no way to access navigation extras inside this. And that's the reason we did the extra work earlier on to go and get the member from our cache. So inside the member detail resolver, we're going to go and get our member inside here. And we don't need the router state snapshot, we do need the root. And what we're going to return from this is an observable of member. So what we'll also do is remove the other things that we're not returning to tidy this up. And all we need to do inside here, and what we're going to do is we're going to return this.memberService.getMember, and we're going to say root, and then we want to access the param map, and then we're going to get the username from this. Now, we don't need to subscribe inside root resolvers. The router is going to take care of this for us. So all we need to do is specify the method in our service that's going to return an observable, and the router is going to subscribe automatically for us and deal with the unsubscription as well. And we can use these for anything. We have a reason to use this now, but you can use this to go and get any type of data you want if you want to get your data before you construct your template. The rest of the application, we've just been using conditionals and ngIf, do we have this or do we not? And when we have it, then Angular is going to display the content after it's received what we have. This is an alternative way of doing that. So what we'll do, we'll head over to our app routing module because we're going to need to do something inside the root for the member detail component now. And what we add to this is in the members/username root, we're going to add resolve. And what we do inside here is we give it a key, and the key in this case is going to be member. This is what we're going to use to access the data inside this particular resolver. And then we specify our member detailed resolver. And from here, what we'll be able to do is go to our component and get the data from inside our root. So we'll go back to our member detail component. And what we're currently doing is we've got a method here to load the member. And we don't need that anymore. But we do have inside here is the gallery images. So we'll come back to this, but for now what we'll do is we'll go and get the member from our root. So what we'll do is we'll say list.root, and how we get the data is we use the data property. This gives us the resolved data of this root. So we'll use data, and then we can subscribe to this, and we'll say data, and we'll say this.member equals data.member. And now we guarantee that our root is going to have this member inside it. What we can also do then is inside our load member, we don't need to do the call to list gallery images inside here. So I'm going to cut this. And what we're going to do is paste this inside our ng on init. So just below the gallery options, we've got an array for this. And then I'm just going to paste in this method to go and get the images in this case. And then what we can do is remove this method because we're not using that inside here anymore. So what we should be able to do now is head back to the browser, and let's keep the console open just to make sure there's no errors. And I'll go back to matches, and let's just refresh the page to get everything clean. And we'll click on Lisa, and the profile first of all, we go straight to the profile, go back to matches, and if we click on messages, then we get our messages, and the crucial test is can we refresh our page? And yes, we can. And if I'm on the about and I click on refresh, then we've got a clean console and things don't pop in all over the place. Obviously, we've got a delay where we see no messages because when we initialize, we don't have the messages to display. But that's okay. I'm okay with that, and the messages come in once we're ready. So now that we've resolved this problem, what we'll do next is we'll go and take a look at how we can send a message.